Welcome back to the brush review series in which I go in search of brushes and test out lots of different kind of brushes. In this episode, we're going to be looking at the Escoda Prado, and I have to say front up, I did not enjoy this brush whatsoever. It came with the tip bent, which is never a good thing. So if you see this, can you see how this tip is bending upwards? This brush came like this. When it was glued into shape, it was like this. And I have tried to reshape it, dry it 3 times now, and it's still bent, which means this brush is just, shall we say, buggered, as we would say in the UK. And it really affected the performance. None of the other Escoda brushes that I've ever bought, nor the ones that I've tested for this series, have ever had this problem. I don't know if it's a feature or a problem, but either way, brushes should never leave the factory looking like this. It doesn't look so bad right now, but when it dries, it really kinks up. Even when you're like sitting there trying to, calm it down and point it as straight as you can, it just won't do that. So there is that, but that's not the reason why I hate this brush. I will show you why I don't think this is a very good brush in general. So this is the round pointed size 10. It's a synthetic sable and it's made in Spain. So it's quite affordable in Jackson's. It's £7.60, which is about $10. It is listed for €9.52 on the Escoda website, and it's available for about $21.93 in black. This has a bristle length of 24 millimeters, which is roughly the standard length, really, and the diameter here at the base is 5.4 millimeters. Overall brush length is 23.2. Pretty sure that all 3 of the Escodas I'm testing in this series have got the same dimension, and they've got this lovely handle. One thing I really love about Escodas is their lovely handle. It's smooth, it's curvy, and it's gorgeous to hold, and they always have really nice finishes. So I'm just going to bring the 3 that I'm testing for this series. See, they all pretty much have the same dimensions, and the varnish they use for it makes the wood look so pretty. Anyway, coming back to the Prado, it is suitable for watercolor, oil and acrylic, and it's available from sizes 3/0 to 22. This is okay. Let's just look at the test results first. Water capacity, it's pretty low in water capacity. It runs out completely about here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. However, one good thing that's going for this brush is that it is a fast brush. You can just phew, and it will keep up with that. However, all the other tests look, I'm sorry, but terrible to me. The release, I noticed that you get frayed edges straight from the beginning, and in both lines you get it in the second one. This is just like way too early for the edges to be fraying, and I just wouldn't recommend it for doing anything that's like quite a lot of up and downy when you want sharp edges on the side. Although you might be wanting more drier look, then this brush will be great. Max width, it doesn't really spread out that much. It is going for about 1.2 millimeters. I'm considering some other brushes we've featured so far has gone up to like 2 centimeters. You can tell that it doesn't really spread that much. In terms of belly drag, you can see here when I did this, it's quite a dry brush anyway, so you get white coming through very early on, but you also get this line where, because the tip is bent, and I didn't do that on purpose, it's just by chance I dragged it and the tip just dragged and made this consistent line, which is probably not something you're looking for, although it might be something you're looking for. So yeah, having bent tip on a brush is fatal when you want it to work as it's supposed to be. In terms of thin lines, now I would guess if the tip wasn't messed up, then it could probably do pretty thin lines, but because the tip was so messed up, it didn't matter which way I pointed the tip, I couldn't get a flat line. And if you zoom in the video, or you go over to my patreon.com/Oto Kano page to look at the high res scan, you can see like around here there's like kinks at the beginning where the tip was facing perpendicular to where the line was going. It's just not ideal. And this is one of the very few brushes that I've tested so far where I get white coming through it on the thin lines. Doesn't hold much water at all, and it dries up really fast. And you see it on the leaf here, again, the edges fray really early on. Considering this is like, I dab some paint and then just go straight in, it's fraying already. It doesn't stay together very well. And again, same thing with the snake. It's just not what I'm looking for in a brush. I'm looking for nice crisp edges, and especially if it's for detail brush, which as a synthetic sable, I will be looking for it to be able to do details, and this cannot do that. Flat wash was a nightmare. Look how uneven this is. It required several reloading of paint onto the brush because it's such a dry brush and it doesn't hold any water at all. And then by the time you get back, it just gets really patchy. So never, ever, ever do flat wash with this unless you want this unpatchy look. In terms of gradation, it wasn't bad. It wasn't great either. I see like 1, 2, 3 lines though. Whereas I'm just going to bring in the next one just so that you can see the comparison. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 stages. So you can just wasn't enjoyable or nice to create the gradation with. Weirdly though, for a relatively firm brush, and I talked about this look at that tip, that's just awful. I talked about this in the previous episode when I talked about Ultimo. For a firm brush, this did not lift much paint at all from the paper. Probably something to do with the fact that it doesn't stay together very well. The bristles don't stay together. So it's not good for that. And then for dashes, because of the tip, you get really uneven shapes, and I did not feel in control at all whatsoever of what kind of dash that was going to come off that brush. So in all, from these tests, I would say that even without the tip being messed up, which I will admit that that's a one-off case. And by the way, if you have used the Prado before, do let me know how your tip came, whether it was messed up like mine or whether I was just a unique case, because that's really good, useful data for other people. If loads of people say, oh no, my Prado has an amazing tip and it works really well, that's absolutely amazing. We need to know that as well. But even without the tip issue, I don't like this brush because of how easily the edges fray when I'm not expecting it to fray, which when the brush should still be nice and wet and juicy, it shouldn't be doing this. This is the first brush that I'm gonna totally fail and don't recommend trying. It's not a good brush. I actually wrote on here, and I'm not usually harsh on reviews. I'm trying to be fair and I try not to be dismissive, and I recognize that there is a use for everything for a particular person that's looking for that thing. But I did write, don't know why anyone would buy this brush. That's how I feel about it. Do let me know what you think of this brush. If for some miracle you do decide to give this brush a go, then I will leave links down below to where you can get them from Jackson's and Escoda and Blick. And if I can find any other place, I'll list those as well. Thank you for watching this video. In the next video, we are going to be looking at the Escoda Prado, which is a much nicer brush. So I will see you in the next episode. Bye!